Hey guys, so welcome to another WoW Weekly with Myst. Hope you guys are having an awesome week in WoW. And for this week's events, we have the Mythic that will be the weekly. And other than that, pretty much not much else going on. However, our experience buff has been extended for quite a while. It is extended until the pre-patch of Shadowlands, and no one knows when that is right now, but it won't be till at least July. That's kind of the time frame they usually do the pre-patches, so we've got this buff for at least a couple of months now, maybe even longer. I'm just saying at least July, but you know, they do seem to be a little behind, so it could be even longer than that. That's just the minimum. So definitely got some time to get those characters up. Also, before they chose to extend that buff, they had brought out another buff for the reputation. Part of me wonders if they're like regretting that decision, but we have two buffs going on. So we have the experience buff, but we also have the rep buff. Now, the experience buff is definitely the better one because it applies to all your characters. Whereas the rep buff, there are limitations. The rep buff only applies to Legion rep and our basic BFA rep, which means in BFA it'll include all those reps except for Rajani and the Aldem Accord. So that's kind of unfortunate because that's the only rep I'm going after. But I am pretty close to Exalted over there anyway, so. But I am happy about the rep buff because my Volterra, right? That was a goal and I got so close with it. And I'm showing you here on screen how close we did get. And yeah, and basically once I realized the rep buff was gonna be coming up, I stopped. Yeah, that's why we didn't complete the goal. I don't think we would have. I think we would have been a little short for the Exalted anyway. But yeah, I stopped and decided that I'm just gonna wait. And so those are both in effect like today. And yeah, so I definitely will be taking advantage of the rep one over on my Horde character because the Volterra rep, which, you know, doesn't really need much else right now, but I also want that Honor Bound rep and that Zandalari rep. Also, you know, Paragon caches, right? So it'd be good for the Paragon caches as well. So that rep buff will end on May 18th. As for the experience buff, my plan for the experience buff is to get all the allied characters out of the way. So I'm currently leveling. I got my luck to level 103. So the luck's doing pretty good. And I'm just doing Legion invasions with her right now. So since she's kind of sitting pretty good in my eyes right now, I swapped over to my Void Elf Hunter. So that is what I'm leveling right now. And that character was 40, now is sitting at 50. So doing pretty good. So that is my goal. My goal is to continue leveling the Hunter and to get the Exalted Volterra. We will for sure have the Exalted Volterra rep by the next time I do a WoW Weekly. With this rep buff, yeah, it will for sure get done. As for my mount runs, the original plan was to actually go back to my mount runs. One of the big focuses right now is Utgard Pinnacle. That's where all my alts are parked at. And I had put it on hold for the leveling, and it is back on hold. Like, yeah, I really want to take advantage of this leveling. I was really upset when it originally was going to end on the 20th, and and I hadn't had the Valpera made yet, and I was kind of upset about that. So I'm really glad it's extended, and because of that, I'm gonna keep Utgard Pinnacle on hold until the pre-patch of Shadowlands, basically, or if my allied races are all leveled before then I'll bring them in. Allied races are the big focus. I just want them out of the way and leveled. So yeah, that is on hold. Obviously, the gold challenge is gonna be on hold till then too. Like, you know, yeah, really when it comes, like, when the decision is my characters being leveled versus making gold, like, I'll just buy the gold later. Like, yeah, I will always put leveling first, because these allied races, there's so many of them, and I've had no desire to level any of them, so this is the perfect buff for that, basically. So yeah, that is basically all that's going on for this week. So to just set some goals here, the goals will be: I'll get my Valpera rep up to Exalted, we'll create the Valpera, and I'll get some levels on the Void Elf Hunter. The Void Elf Hunter is at level 50 right now. We'll aim for roughly 60, but there's no level goal. The experience is so good that as long as I dedicate time to it, I have no real worries of whether it's gonna get to max level. Like, it'll get there. So we'll just see at the end of the week how much progression I've done. And yeah. This past week I had done a lot of levels, and that was only off of a couple of nights of play and not full nights. Like, my lock at the beginning of this past week was 85. She's now 103. Plus I went in through 10 levels over on the Void Elf Hunter. So yeah, the levels will get there. I do also plan on playing my Dark Iron Dwarf, which I may have mentioned in last week's video, but I can't remember. There will never be a goal on that one, though, because that was created with a friend. So I will basically only be leveling while I'm leveling with him, and our schedules don't always match very well. It's a friend that I don't get to really play WoW with too often. So the Dark Iron Dwarf will get leveled, but it's going to be periodic over the duration of this buff. And the Dark Iron Dwarf is level 60, so we're like halfway there, so it's not like I'm starting a freshly created allied race or anything. I've already done a little work on it. Okay, so on to news. I don't have too much for news. Basically, a couple of things. I'll just share a couple of things that I have found out through this past week regarding Shadowlands, stuff that I haven't put in videos because, you know, they don't really warrant videos in my personal opinion. But the first piece of news is artisan riding has actually been removed from Shadowlands. That is the 280% flight. So yeah, it looks like we'll be skipping right past that, which is, you know, a pro, I guess. It saves you money. Artisan riding usually costs 5,000 gold, so you're saving 5,000 gold. It is an interesting one that they are removing it, though, because that's the level 70 riding, you know? So it is weird. It is weird that it goes apprentice, journeyman, expert, and then it skips the very first big riding increase and then goes to master, which is your 310. So technically you're jumping from 150% to 310. Like, yeah, that's really weird. Another thing that seems kind of weird for me here is, as you can see, the master riding is given to you at level 40. So, you know, to me it just seems weird that when you hit level 60, you wouldn't get that final riding. You know, I find it very weird. But at least it does show you that flying will still be in Shadowlands. Another thing that I really like with the Shadowlands is the markers that they have. It is like way past due for them to do something like this. So I am happy that they finally put this into play. So you're gonna see actual markers on where to go, your exclamation, your question mark above the NPCs' heads. I think they made it so it really stands out well. So that is definitely a cool change, in my opinion. I do really like this change, and the second picture that I showed you where you see the diamond marker out in the distance, that just reminds me so much of Assassin's Creed. And I remember years ago making a lot of comments saying how I wish that they would have like markers like that in WoW. So definitely very cool. I think that will help a lot of the questers out. You know, so many people don't have quest add-ons because a lot of the quest add-ons suck. You know, so maybe this is the way that they can have, you know, something helping them with their quests and not have to use a crappy quest add-on because it's literally all there is, you know. So that should definitely help. Also, this picture here is a secret that has already been found in Shadowlands. And basically, this is the Scroll of Aeons. It is a toy. And it gives you the spectral appearance. So this toy, the Scroll of Aeons, will last for 30 minutes. And it has a 1 hour cooldown. It's honestly so weird knowing that people have already found this out. Shadowlands Alpha is still pretty new, and yeah, it's just crazy. I've looked at the steps for this. The steps are really easy, unless they change things along the way, but it is very easy to obtain this form, and like always, I will do a video on that. But yeah, it's just, it boggles my mind when they find these in like a non-live build because it's supposed to be a secret, right? Like you would think that they wouldn't even include that in that build, you know, throw the secrets in after so that people have to figure it out in live. Now, on the note of this spectral form, there is kind of a toy in place right now that is similar to that, and it is called the Death's Door Charm. You get it out in Legion, and it was for the Valajar rep. All you needed was Revered and you could buy it, and it would you would take on the Helheim spirit form, and it basically looks pretty much identical. So if that's an appearance of something that you want to go after, there's that you can go after right now, which is perfect because we have the rep buff. Okay, so for the last piece of news that I have for you guys, it has to do with BFA, and that is that Nyalotha will be cross-realm for Mythic difficulty this reset. So each side, you know, both Horde and Alliance have 100 guilds that have completed it on Mythic. Horde had it completed like a month ago, so we're just waiting on Alliance, and the 100th guild for Alliance finally completed that like 6 days ago. And that's basically all I have for news. There was one extra thing I was going to add, but I'm really just hoping to do a video on it. But I want to actually be in the Shadowlands Alpha when I show you guys. But it is Torghast. So I'll tell you a little about it right now, and then maybe you'll understand why I'd rather just like actually be in the Shadowlands Alpha to show you guys. But Torghast is like it's almost like a challenge mode deal you can do, and you gain powers as you go through it. Those that watch a lot of my other videos that I put on the channel, there was a video I put out a day or two ago. Actually, it was just yesterday, and it was Gauntlet. It's a game I like to return to every so often, and they have a run in there called the Endless Run, and that's kind of what Torghast reminds me of. It reminds me of an endless run, although I did find out apparently there is an end to it. but basically you'll go floor to floor and you'll gain different abilities, and then obviously with Gauntlet it was different. You'd be able to purchase like heals and stuff at the beginning of floors, but you didn't really get different like abilities. So there is definitely a difference. But I do like the idea because Torghast is basically an endless run, except, like I said, apparently people found out that there is an actual final floor. I personally think Torghast has a lot of hope, and if done properly, could be a very good thing for the game. I am super hyped for this aspect. While I'm hyped, I'm also skeptical, because while this reminds me a lot of Gauntlet's Endless Run, other people compare it to other things. Like, people compare it to Diablo 3, people compare it to PoE. I personally compare it to Gauntlet. I'm probably the only one, because a lot of people have probably forgotten Gauntlet even exists. And there's a lot of people out there that never played Gauntlet. But I compare it to that because of the endless run factor. Even although these don't seem to be endless for Torghast, they do go up high, and they do kind of have a similar aspect. They are more or less randomly generated floors, stuff like that. And I think if done properly, it could be really good. And I also really hope that they don't turn it into what the... I care so little about it that I'm drawing a blank to the name, but the stuff going on in game right now. Fuck, what's it called? Horrific Visions, that's it. See, that is how much I hate Horrific Visions. I did it right at the beginning, and after that first week, I was like, this shit sucks, I'm not going back. At some point, I do have to go back because I need my achievement for getting to rank 15. But other than that, yeah. But a lot of people compare it to that. I really hope it doesn't turn into that, or else that would be bad for Shadowlands. I personally don't even think that the levels should stop. I think this should be a challenge mode where you can just play around with the system and just see how many floors you can get to. Like, that is exactly why I love Gauntlet, because there's no real rewards for getting those floors. Like, there might be a trophy or something, or an achievement or whatnot, depending on where you're playing it. But other than that, like, the joy is just seeing what floor you can get to. And these ones, they are definitely tied to rewards. You can see on screen right now, they're tied to legendaries and stuff. And I feel like that could be bad depending on how they execute it. So I guess we'll see. Okay, guys, so that is it for today's WoW Weekly video. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having fun leveling your alts and getting rep on whatever characters need rep. It's a great time to actually maybe even earn rep towards some alts you might want to level. The two really go really well together because rep is a part of unlocking all those allied races. Now, on the topic of allied races, I feel the need to tell you guys that in Shadowlands, the rep needed for the allied races is gone. So when Shadowlands launches, if you don't have those allied races unlocked, the achievement part of them will unlock. So for each race, there is the rep you need, and then there's achievement that goes with it that's generally like a quest chain. That achievement will still be required, but the rep won't be. So keep that in mind, that if it's a character you feel you could easily level in Shadowlands and you don't want to do the rep, then wait, because like I said, that rep is no longer a requirement over in Shadowlands. So you could get it that much easier. But do keep in mind, we have a rep buff going on right now anyway. So, you know, yeah, it's... We don't quite know yet what the leveling speed is in Shadowlands. So it could still be faster to do it right now, even with the rep buff. But I just thought I'd point that out just for maybe some of you more casual players that really don't want to go after the rep. Then my personal advice is don't level them at all right now and wait for Shadowlands. So yeah, have fun doing your leveling, have fun going after your rep, and hopefully, you know, they'll start doing some more Shadowland Alpha invites. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.